Welcome back to my channel. I'm Gabby, the creator of the board theory. If you haven't yet watched the video where I explain about the board theory, I'm going to link it here in the description. Today's video is all about a tool that I want to give you so that you can help yourself every single day while you're doing your transformation and in general, and learn how to become conscious once you decided to go into the cocoon. Before I go into explaining exactly about this tool that I want to give you today, I want to recap a little bit from past videos. So first of all, we're going to talk about the cocoon. And second, we're going to be talking about the brain. And all of that is to remind everybody what it is exactly that we are going through in order that when I give you the actual tool, it will be easier for you to understand why the tool is so powerful. So let's talk again about the metaphor about the cocoon. So we have our caterpillar. The caterpillar is living its life. It's on its leaf, it's eating, it's having fun, but it has potential to become a butterfly. Nature does the whole process for this caterpillar and puts it into the cocoon. In the cocoon, this caterpillar is literally becoming a DNA soup, and then all of that DNA, all those cells are reconfiguring themselves and building the new butterfly. The butterfly is the one that is the potential. It comes out of the cocoon and ends up flying away wherever it wants. That journey that the caterpillar goes through is a great metaphor for us when we want to go through a transformation as well. The one difference between the caterpillar and a human is that the caterpillar goes through this naturally. Nature does the transformation for it. But humans have to make a decision that they want to go through transformation. What does that mean? Well, if you're just living your life and you're not knowing that there's any other way, then you'll probably just stay a caterpillar for the rest of your life. But if you find out that there is a way and you could change your life, then you can decide whether you want to go into the cocoon of transformation or not. Now, if you do decide to go into the transformation, you have to know that it's not going to be easy. Transformation takes time. Transformation is not easy because you have to change yourself totally. Just like the caterpillar needed to become a DNA soup, we have to change ourselves totally in order to be able to create a different future for ourselves. Now let's look at the word personality. We have a personality, right? But what is a personality? It's really your personal reality. So if you can change your personality, you can change your reality, right? So maybe you can see already that you're manifesting your future depending on your personality, because your personality is creating your reality. So if you have a reality that you're not happy with, first of all, yes, you created that reality, but you created it through your board. We talked about the board of the board theory, which is literally inherited from many, many decades ago. And you're just inheriting that board, but you can be the one that stops the cycle of inheritance of this black chip board when you become conscious that there is a different way. So let's look at this again. What is your personality? Well, your personality is only built out of a bunch of stories that were put into your database. And through that database, you're living your reality. That's why your personality creates your reality. Now, where are all these stories from? Well, as I mentioned when I was talking about the board theory, all these stories are literally inherited from your family. And yes, you probably gathered some more stories during your life, depending how old you are. And you have all of these stories in the database, and the brain knows only to work on that database. That's your board. Now, if you want to change, you have to change the database. All of these stories that you have right now that are planted on your board, those are the stories you need to learn how to change. And that is the transformation that you want to be doing in the cocoon. You want to go into the cocoon and be conscious of all of your black chips that you have on your board, which are only showing you the way of where you have something to learn. All of your black chips are literally a compass of where you can grow. Now, it's your decision if you want to grow. It's your decision if you want to change your personality. It's your decision if you want to change your reality. So do you? Do you really want to change your reality? Are you not happy with what you have right now? So what do you need to do? First, you have to make the decision that you want to change. But you have to understand that going into the cocoon, and that is the decision that you have to make in order to really go through a transformation, you have to understand that you have to be persistent. You don't give up. At any point, you can't give up because you're in the cocoon. It's not going to be easy. It's almost like going to rehab and going through a detox period also, because remember, your brain is conditioned to so many stories and it's so used to bringing those stories up through your personality to create your reality that it doesn't know how to do it differently. So just to recap this part about the cocoon is something that a human being can decide to go into if they really want a transformation. The period in the cocoon is not easy. Okay, at first it's going to be very hard, it's going to feel unnatural, it's going to feel painful almost. But you have to believe that the transformation is an option. It's like I talked about when a kid is learning how to walk. What happens? He sees his parents walking, so he knows without a doubt that he can walk. But it takes him time to learn, and the learning process is the gathering of all the information. The brain is gathering a lot of information. It can take a month, it can take 2 months. And finally, when the brain feels it has enough information, it puts the puzzle together, and that's when the story becomes a part of your database. So going into the cocoon of transformation is exactly that. You need to learn how to transform yourself, but you have to have the belief that without a doubt, the transformation is an option. Just like the kid sees its parents and knows without a doubt that they can walk. So when you make the decision that you want to go into the cocoon of transformation, you have to be sure with yourself that without a doubt, you know that transformation is an option. Okay? If you do not believe that, you're not going to make it through the cocoon period because it's going to be too hard and you're going to revert back to your old self. So if you do not want the reality that you're having right now and you want to change your personality, in order for you to be able to change your reality, you have to be patient and you have to know without a doubt that this transformation is totally doable. Another way of knowing that it's doable is looking at people that are actually living that way. And if you can see that other people are living that way, it means that you can too. And as I mentioned on other videos, we are all butterflies in potential. We just have the free will, the free choice to decide whether we're willing to do the transformation or not. So if you're still with me and you are one of the people who really wants to do the transformation and wants to change your reality, so stay here and let's continue to the next stage and talk a little more about the brain again before I give you the tool that can help you through the first stages of your cocoon transformation. But it's a tool that can really, really work with you for the rest of your life. I still use it every day, every single day. So let's go back to talk a little bit about the brain. First of all, we have to remember our brain is a prediction system. What does that mean? It sees a picture. So if you can imagine, your brain is like a big headquarters, and in this headquarters, there's a big TV right in front, and there's people sitting around with a lot of computers, and all these computers are the database that is supposed to give information about this picture that comes up on the TV. So for example, we were talking about a lion. The lion comes outside of us. It's not from within our brain. There's a lion walking outside. That picture is captured by our sensory system, so the eyes, and it brings the picture into that TV. On the TV, there's only a picture. The picture has no emotion, has no knowledge, it just is a picture. But what happens now? All of the analysts that are in the headquarters of your brain are now going into the computer system and they're looking for information. And the first question that they ask is this safe for me? So they see the lion, they go into the information, they find the information in the database that this is not safe. And then what do? They alert the whole body that we are going into survival mode. We're going into a stage of danger. For us, we're not going to be safe. So what happens? Everything shuts down that is not needed in order to save your life from this predator. And the chemicals that are in your body now or chemicals that are there in order to help you focus on that one thing that's right now in front of you. And it gives you meaning and purpose that have to do with the danger. Meaning of my life matters, and then purpose, I'm saving my life, I'm running away from the lion. And eventually the event ends when the lion goes away, you go back to your home, and the event is over. Now, an important thing to remember also with the events that come from outside, we literally have a on-off switch for those. Why? Because the event starts, that's like an on switch for the emergency situation. But at one point when it ends, our sensory system sees that the event ended, and what does it do? It turns off the whole survival mode situation. Okay, the event is over. So what was the prediction system in this event? The brain could predict from stories it has in its database, because maybe your parents taught you that it's very dangerous when a lion comes in and it's life threatening. So you have that story already in your database. So the brain sees the picture on that TV of the lion. All the analysts in the headquarters of your brain are going into all the database looking for a picture that can give them the answer whether you're safe or not. Once they find the picture that you were taught that it's not safe, that's when they alert that there's danger. And what does the brain do? It predicts the future, basically. It's saying you might die. And when it's predicting the future, that's when it gives you also all of that cocktail of chemicals that feel stressful. That is an event that has an on-off switch because it comes through our sensory system. Okay, so that was survival mode. And now we want to talk about what happens with the board theory. The board theory is basically a board that we have full of stories. And a lot of these stories are what we call black chips. And the black chips are stories that have a very strong emotion on them, that are emotions that feel just like any kind of survival mode. Okay, so the stress that comes with these stories, like I don't have enough money, or I'm not loved in a relationship, or my body is against me, any kind of story that we have that has an emotional tag on it is on our board, and that is the database that the brain is working with. So let's think of a situation which comes from our board, for example. So you're looking at your bank account, you see there's an amount of money there that it's not sufficient to cover all of your expenses for that month. So what does the brain do? It sees that picture, it puts it on the TV in the headquarters, and now all the analysts are going onto the board where all of the information, all the database is about the stories that are our personality, remember, that create our reality. All these stories that were planted on our board, that is the database that the brain is going in to figure out whether it's safe or not. So once it sees this picture of not enough money in the bank, what does it do? It goes to that database of your reality, and it's saying, okay, let's see what happened in the past. So it goes to the past. It sees, that there were a few months that you were very stressed and you felt very bad because you thought you were not going to be able to pay your bills. And there's a strong emotional tag there. Now, the brain will go first to the strongest emotions that it has, because that is where you can see the danger. If it's just very light emotions, then it's not going to worry about it too much. But if there's a strong emotional tag connected to that story, to that black chip, it's going to alert the body into danger. Okay, we are not safe. So it went in, it saw all of these stories that have a very strong emotional tag on them, and it sees it's not safe. So what does it do? Now it starts predicting your future. So it's predicting your future through your past stories, right? Its only knowledge is your past stories. Those are the black chips on your board. So the brain is predicting now the future, and it's saying, okay, I'm not safe. I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. I'm not going to be able to buy food. So this is a very dangerous situation, and we put the body on alert. And this is exactly like a lion. No difference. Okay, so you're going into survival mode, meaning it's shutting down every single thing in your body that is not needed in order to take care of this situation. Now you have to focus only on this because you have to save your life. So just a reminder, what shuts down when you go into survival mode? everything in the frontal cortex. What is the frontal cortex? It is our conscious mind. That is where we can create. That's where we feel safe. That's where we feel happy. But because we are putting ourselves all the time in survival mode from all these thoughts that the body is feeling that it's unsafe, then what happens is our conscious mind and the place that we can create our new life is shut down. So what happens? Everything is shut down that you can actually transform your life from, and you're living on survival mode because you keep bringing in these thoughts again, and these thoughts go to the same database that you have with your black chips. It keeps predicting the future for you, that it's going to be a very bad future, and then you actually do things out of a place of feeling danger. So you're going to run, you're going to look for clients, you're going to find something to do, you're going to focus on how you can take yourself out of this survival mode. But all of the things that you're doing are coming from a danger situation, from a feeling of not being safe. So you have to run out and make yourself feel safe. So what is the main thing that I want to tell you? The frontal cortex, that is the area where you have real safety, okay? So think about it. When you were doing something that you really loved, or when you were feeling in love, all of the survival mode shuts down. Why? Because you're bringing light into your frontal cortex. That is the place of happiness. That is the place where you feel safe. That is the place where you can actually create something new. So you need to learn how to turn on the frontal cortex in order to get out of your survival mode, in order to get out of all those stories, the black chips that are on your board, and get the option for the brain to predict a better future. You need to turn on your frontal cortex. You have to become conscious of what's going on. The moment you become conscious, you're turning on your frontal cortex. So our gym work, in a way, needs to be how to turn on the frontal cortex, how to become conscious. And that is exactly what I want to talk about today with the tool that I want to bring you, that I think can really, really help everybody every single day, every single time that you feel stressed, when you feel sad, when you feel unhappy. So this tool is going to help you when you see survival mode, because you're becoming conscious and you're looking at your thoughts. So when you can see that happen, you're able to bring in your conscious mind and turn on the light in your frontal cortex, rather than going into a survival mode and shutting down the frontal cortex. You want to leave it there and make it work for you on the situation that otherwise you were used to going on survival mode. Now, this is the cocoon of transformation. This is where you do the work. And it's just like going to the gym. You have to work on that muscle again and again and again. It's like learning how to walk. You're going to have to do it a lot of times, and slowly it's going to get easier. And eventually you're going to change your personality, and that way you can change your reality. So how do we change our reality? We have to create a new database. And that database, I'm calling it the white chips. You want to be able to flip your black chips to white chips, and that way you're creating a new story in your database, and that is your new personality. And through that, you have now new glasses to look at the world, and that will be your new reality. So the cocoon stage of transformation, let's look at it, is the place where we're going to be flipping our chips from black to white and creating this new database. But what happens, and you have to remember this because it's not going to feel comfortable, it's not going to feel natural when you're in the cocoon. What happens is these black chips are going to try to still run you because they are the dominant story in your database, but you already have a new story that you know you want to bring in, but it's not yet a white chip. So there's going to be some tag of war there in your brain, but you are able to conquer survival mode when you become conscious. So if you're conscious and you're seeing what happens, you're able to bring your new story in, even though it's not a white chip yet, and that will shut down your survival mode for the time that you're conscious. But if you become unconscious again, and again, unconscious is not unconscious in the hospital, this is just your frontal cortex not working for you, you're going to default to your survival mode. You're going to default to your black chip. So the whole game now is to conquer survival mode consciously, and that is the tool that I want to talk about today. For the tool I'm giving you today, I want you to remember 3 letters: C, S, C. So that way it might be a little easier for you to remember. C for catch, S for stop, C for conversation. Now I'm going to talk about these 3 stages, starting with the first C. The first C stands for catch. I think one of the hardest things to do is to be conscious while you're beginning to feel stressed or sad or upset, and see that it's happening and catch that moment. I call it catch of the day. All right. So all day we want to be conscious. We want to be scanning what we feel. And once we start feeling a little bit stress, we have to catch that moment. Okay. That means you're becoming conscious. That means you went into the cocoon. That means you're doing the work. Okay. Because we want to be able to control every emotional situation so that it doesn't gain momentum. And let's talk a little bit about momentum. Think about a car on the top of a mountain, okay? So the car is on the top of the mountain and there's a very steep mountain. Now you go behind that car and push it and it's going to start moving. Now, if you run immediately to the front of the car while it's on the top there, you can still stop it and it won't go anywhere. But what happens if this car starts going down the mountain? It gains momentum, right? Now, if you try to stand in front of that car once it gets to the bottom of the mountain, well, I don't think that you're going to be able to stop the car at that point. Let's just put it that way. The same happens with your thoughts. So if you're able to stop that thought before it gains momentum, you win. Why? Because you're going to feel good. You're not going to let that thought go on autopilot and turn on an emergency event in your body of all of those stress chemicals that are going to manage your personality and create your reality. So what are you doing when you stop? You're stopping the momentum of the thought, and you can go into your frontal cortex now from a conscious mind and look at this thought and do something about it. So the first thing is to catch that moment, okay? This is crucial. This is really crucial for everything. If you start feeling bad, you got to catch that moment. And what's the next step? The S, stop. You have to stop everything. Now, this means you can't just be, oh, I'll continue with my day. I'll just think about it a little more and it will go away. No, you have to stop everything. This is your new emergency. Okay, instead of going into survival mode, emergency stage that your body is going to go all crazy with the chemicals of stress, you have a new emergency. And the emergency is, oh my God, we're being taken over by survival mode. We have to stop everything right now and make sure that we do not go down that road again. We want a new road here right now, right? Because we're in the cocoon. We want transformation. We want our new reality. So we have to stop everything. So we're stopping every single thing that we're doing right now. And we're going to go and become conscious of what just happened in our brain. And that brings me to the third stage, which is conversation. Yes, you are going to have a conversation now with your brain because your brain is scared. It's like a 3-4-year-old kid now. It's scared for your life. The whole reason you have stress chemicals in your body now is because the brain was thinking it's not safe. It's like a good friend trying to take care of you, trying to help you, because it's predicting you might be going down this survival mode place again because you're not safe. Now, how does this friend of yours decide that you're not safe? It's going to your old database. Now, do you have any computer from 20, 30 years ago that its database can run whatever is happening today in the world? No. It's the same thing with your internal board, with your chips. You've been given your board with the black chips many years ago, depending on your age, right? So this friend is coming to alert you that, oh my God, you're not safe, is learning all this information from an old database and it needs a new database. But what happened until now? We let this friend manage our life. We were not there. We were not conscious. It's like a company that its CEO is not there and it's just letting, the people go in chaos and keep being scared all the time and nobody's managing them. But this friend is doing it from a good place. It's not doing it from a bad place. It's really trying to help you. It's trying to keep you out of danger. It just doesn't understand that it's not real danger. So, going back to being in a conversation with your brain, this is the conversation that I want you to start. So, you stopped everything. You're looking at this friend that's alerting you that something is unsafe, but you basically have to explain now. You're now the CEO. You came back, you're taking control of the company. You need to explain to your workers or to your friend, however you want to look at this, whichever metaphor works better for you. I like the friend metaphor too. So, what is the first thing I want to do with this friend? I want to be thankful and grateful that it's trying to save my life. Because that's all it's trying to do. When you start getting all those stress chemicals, it's basically this friend of yours saying, oh my God, I went to the database and this thing is very scary. It's life threatening. So, here, let's go into emergency mode. But now, when you are going to come and you're going to start running the show, and this is your cocoon of transformation, this is becoming conscious, you can look at your friend and say, okay, thank you. Really, thank you so much for taking care of me when I was absent. But this is not your job. It's my job. And I'm coming now to take things back into control. I'm here to control the situation again. I'm here to run my business again. And I only want you to do your job. So, first, you're being grateful, you're being thankful, you're understanding also that your friend is showing you that there is something on your blackboard that you need to attend as the CEO of this company. You have to manage a situation here. So, be grateful and be thankful is the first stage of the conversation when you're looking at this friend. So, while you're calming down this friend, you can say also, don't worry, I've got this. I'm really here now. I'm sorry I wasn't here before, but I'm really here now and I've got this. I am going to create now a new database for you so that you can really work on something that is good for us, that will feel happy, that will feel safe. I want our database to be as much as possible white chips that make us feel safe. Obviously, there's always going to be black chips, and that's okay because why? That is where we learn how to grow. That is where we can become better at so many different things. But we don't want our board to be 95% black chips. We want to have much more on our board, which is white chips, which is safety, so that we can live off of safety and just once in a while have a situation of survival mode. So we're very thankful, obviously, for that part of our brain, our friend, for bringing the information to us so we know that there is something to do. It's just like a worker alerting that there is something in the company that needs attention. So we're very thankful, right, for that worker that's saying, hey, there's something here that's not feeling so good, it's not working so well, and then we can actually attend to it. We're also telling our friend that we're back now in control, and basically they can go back to their job, their original job. And what is the original job for them? It was just to see danger that comes outside of us. That's what it needs to work on. It needs to keep scanning all the time for a lion. It needs to keep scanning for a snake. It needs to keep scanning for anything outside of us that can become a threat and ask whether it's safe. That's what it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to be working all day on our thoughts. So think about it that this friend or this worker has been way overworked every single day and they're doing 10 times their job. And now, when you come and you take control, you're telling them it's okay. You can now rest. You can rest. I'm here. I am safety. You just do your job and you only jump when there is really something that is of danger outside of our body. And I will take care of everything that's inside of my brain. So let's recap this conversation. What's happening, we're catching a situation which feels stressful. So we're thinking of that like the worker coming in, alerting, hey, there is a problem here. I'm not feeling safe. And we come and we stop everything. We see this information that our friend is bringing up or that our worker is bringing up as valuable. and that needs immediate attention, and we stop everything that we're doing right now, and we're going to give the attention. The attention is becoming conscious. It's running your business. You need to be running your business. So if you're conscious now and you're stopping everything, now you can start working on making the problem better, right? You can solve the problem. So you look at the problem in the eye and you say, okay, why are you feeling unsafe? Once you learn why you're feeling unsafe, and let's say for the option that we were talking about, like the money, then we can understand what is the black chip, what is the story on our board, which was the information that the brain went to in the database. And now that it's brought out and we're looking at it as a manager of the company, now we're going to work to change it. How do we change it? We're in the cocoon, right? We're becoming conscious. We are going to create a new story. We're going to create our new database. And through the conversation that you're having with your brain, you're going to get all the information and it's going to calm you down because you're going to know what you need to do in order to change the situation. So let's look at this again. You have to catch the thought. That means when you start feeling the stress, that is when you're catching the thought. The second part is stop everything. Okay, this is emergency. It's somebody bringing up an emergency in your company. You have to stop everything else that you're doing, and you need to attend to the person that brought it up, your brain, your part of the brain that's very scared, feeling unsafe, and start a dialogue and start a conversation. First, by calming it down, saying, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you for bringing up the information. Okay? And then everything else that we talked about. Now, I know some of my friends, it's almost like a joke already. And they're like, oh my God, this and this happened and this and this happened. And then they're like, oh, but I'm grateful and I'm thankful that it happened because it's teaching me that I have something to grow here. So that is exactly what I want everybody to be able to do. If you're in your cocoon of transformation, you're changing your personality, you're going to be changing your reality out of that. One of the things that you have to understand that every black chip, every situation that feels stressful to you is there for you to grow and learn and become the butterfly that you are. So that's it for today's video. I'll see you on my next video.